We're live! Are we live? Hi chat.
Hello.
Yeah, I think we're here.
Find the stream, 1 second.
Good. Yeah, remember that everyone can hear you. Okay, I'm gonna post them on the everyone on the server. Because previously I just mentioned @follower. I love how the concurrent viewers just dropped from 12 to 4. Hey. Hi everyone. We're gonna have a little Q&A session here. So yeah, Lambda Generation posted a video talking about this. It's super amazing. I've been watching them for ages. And seeing that video was just so great, because we don't really get much attention. We have our little bubble in the Portal community, but apart from that, I mean, even now, wait, can you hear the game? I think you can hear the desktop audio. Let me just mute this for a sec. Even now, we have. So what? What I'm trying to say is that Lambda Generation is still just source edge community, right? But it's still great to to get discovered there. How are you doing? We're doing great, thanks. So yeah, I have a stream set up here where I can switch between that footage and my screen. There is the game. We're gonna show off a little update to this chamber. Was that fizzler clipping out of the pillow fix? Fizzler clipping out of the pillow? I don't know what you mean. So yeah, you can drop any questions in the chat. We're gonna try answer them. Apart from that, if there are no questions, we're just gonna show some stuff here, or talk about development. Yeah. Okay, we already have our first questions. But before I go into that, we have a few people on the team here in the chat. Monty, how you doing?
I'm alright.
So, Monty, I mean, people might not know you. What are you doing on the mod?
I work on... Right now I work on models now, but I used to do mapping mostly. But I sort of moved into more textures and modeling. We're like improving all the assets in Portal to make them more high quality.
Oh yeah, that's been a reason, and we're gonna show off some of that too. Although I don't think I've pulled your latest changes yet.
Yeah,
the last model.
laser stuff.
Yeah, I love laser stuff.
Also, I'm going to mention, the text is black on the chat display. Just saying.
The text is... Oh, we can't read it.
Yeah.
Right, I can... Oh yeah, that is true. It's also super small. I'm gonna try to fix that. I mean, I can increase the font size.
Yeah, do that. It's fine.
I can also change the text color to be something different. Yeah, sadly I don't think I can add a border. But maybe I can make it like a different color, like yellow or some orange. That should be picked up on more screens. Is that better? I've just played around with a few settings. It doesn't really show me. Tell me if it's better. We also have here Frosty. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing alright.
I think a bit quiet on my stream. There you go. What are you doing on the mod?
Well, I've kind of slid between different tasks. I started out mapping, but doing more assets and concept art recently. Admittedly, I haven't worked on it in a while, but that is what I'm doing.
Yeah, I hope you're gonna go in. You have the time to contribute a bit more. We all had our dry times. That's all normal. Rory, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
What's you been up?
From work.
Sorry, what have you been up to on the mod?
So before I just did models and stuff. So like when I said, hey, make a door, I made a door. But now I'm starting doing programming, and emphasis on starting because there is a lot to learn.
Oh yeah, Source Engine certainly is a bit of a beast to learn and get into. But you have pushed some. I mean, you have shown me some changes already, which is gonna fix some bugs.
Yep.
Those are gonna be really cool. Voice acquired, yeah. I pushed them up. I think I had them on I had my desktop audio pretty quiet. I didn't consider that it was also affecting the voice chat, so I pushed it up a bit. Should be better now. Yeah,
The background.
I streamed it
Or no.
right during Minecraft Live. I didn't check their streams. I don't really follow Minecraft Live streams too much. But hey, you can always watch that later. You can't interact with this later. Alright, yeah, so those have been Frosty, Monty, and Rory on the team. We've got a few more people on the team that are doing voices and music. I'm the lead dev. I'm Stefan, the owner of the channel. Been working on this for 6 years. Most of you already know this. Actually, we're catching up to 7 years by now. In February, there will be a 7. So yeah, do we want to have it so that I just read the questions and also the answers, or do one of you want to read out the questions and keep track of them?
Yeah, I'll keep track of them.
Cool. We've got a few here. Just
Do like a
throw them
rotating
at me.
Where... Oh.
Yeah, we could do a rotation.
Yeah, apparently the voices are too quiet. Apparently.
I already boosted them. It should be better now.
Alright.
I'm gonna turn you up specifically though. So you wanna throw the first question at me?
How much is the mod complete? Is asked by I can't say that.
How much of the mod is complete? That's always so difficult to answer. Because it is never complete. When you make a game, you can always keep improving it. Like here, right? I can go and maybe I should add a few pipes to this area or whatever, and that is just mapping. You can always add more clutter, add more stuff. With animations, they can always be a little bit better. You can always have more funnier voice lines. You can always have more and better music. It's a question of choosing how much time you wish to invest into your mod, into your game, and deciding when it's good enough. This chamber, we thought it was good enough, so we published it on YouTube. We showed a video, but then people, most people just said, "Hey, this is great. I love this." But there were a few people who were not that amazed by the visuals of this chamber, so we've gone and improved them. You can say, oh, we're halfway done, but then in reality, later on you realize, oh, we're only a quarter of the way done. Right now, with the plans that we have, I'd say that we're 60 to 70% done. The things that are still missing, so we have 4 acts, and what's still missing is pretty much the entirety of Act 4. Act 1 is entirely complete, but we're still doing little polishes to everything and adding voices to missing chambers. But just map-wise, Act 1 is the completest. Act 3 is now also again to a state where it's complete. But Act 3 is missing all voice acting. Act 2 is not that far ahead. The maps have been designed, like we have the level design for everything. I wish to include a bit more, but I don't know if we have the time for it, because Act 2 right now is the shortest. There are only like 7 chambers, I think, and other acts have a very comparable amount of chambers, but those chambers are a bit bigger, and I think there's a bit of potential in Act 2 that we can tap into. So in total, yeah, 60 to 70%. I don't know. I'm gonna turn myself offline on Steam also, just so I don't get those messages here. Did that work? Yeah, there we go. So that's for the progress. Have another one?
Yes, look at Bruce. Do you plan to have a challenge mode for campaign when people play individual levels like in the base game?
I have thought about that. Also, Monty, I think you're not reading from the top to bottom.
Oh, I completely missed that.
I thought about that, and I mean, we haven't really talked about it in the team. I think, like right now, we don't have a plan for that. It would be cool to have like harder versions of chambers, but what I'd rather do is, I don't know. I think that works better. Like challenge mode. I'm assuming you're talking about like the Portal 1 harder chambers where this is now chamber 13, but with goo, or was it 12, whatever. That doesn't really work for our kinds of chambers, because our kinds of chambers are much more logic heavy. They don't just have, like, we can't just do, it's this chamber, but now this floor is black. We could do that, but it doesn't really make much sense. Mel has that, but they only have that because their challenge mode used to be the standard mode, and then it was too hard for so many people, so they made an easier version and then called that the standard mode. That's why Mel has it. But with this mod, we try to make it as accessible as possible from the get-go, while still making it challenging. The playtests are pretty promising. People struggle at the points where we want them to struggle, but they all figure it out eventually after a reasonable amount of time, right? Like, we know where the stuck spots are, but so far everyone has figured it out in a good amount of time, which is exactly what you want, right? You want those points of, what is this? So no, we're not gonna have a challenge mode in that sense. Might ship like speedrun challenges and those kinds of stuff, like the things that we had in Portal 2 at some point, but right now I haven't looked at how much the engine supports that and how easy it is to implement, because last time I checked the code, it was super weirdly hard coded in ways that I can't describe. So that's gonna be a no for now. Maybe time trials, but harder like chambers, no.
Anyway, next question was, are you still in contact with Chaos?
Yeah. Not much publicly. I'm not on the servers. Not because of my relations to them, but rather I'm not even on Finger of Portals and all of those. Anyways, I kind of quit social media because I just realized that it was just toxic for me. It made me say things I don't mean and that were misinterpreted. I'm not shitting on social media just in general, but I've been much happier being off social media and working on this on my own with friends, and so yeah, I mean I'm still in contact, mainly talking about code, talking about I have a bug, what is this, or I'm having issues merging in these pieces, and they're all really friendly. So yeah, I'm still in touch behind the scenes, but I'm not on those like Discord servers anymore. That doesn't mean I'm not in touch privately.
Next question would be, have you seen Black Mesa Blue Shift? If so, what do you think of it?
A blue shift, yeah. I've seen some lambda generation videos some time ago. I haven't watched the latest one, but I hope that they will finish. You know, whatever the project is. Last time I looked at it, it looked pretty promising. I just hope that they finish it, because there's been so many attempts of doing this kind of stuff, of remaking Blue Shift and opposing force, and you know, as the nature of mod is, most of them get cancelled because of weird stuff. I just hope that they can finish it and ship it. Last stuff I saw looked very promising, just like Black Mesa, you know, the same quality standard. Hope they're doing well. Hope they're finishing that. Before we take the next question, so this is what we've done with this test chamber. I've just taken some time to kind of overhaul this a little bit. A lot of the complaints that we got on this were that it just used the same wood texture everywhere, and it kind of looked like a PTI map that was just reskinned with different textures. And I totally agree with that. Like swapping back to the previous version, like when I compare screenshots, the old one looked so basic. I'm gonna go into more detail later, but we can take the next questions now while I play this. Monty.
Alright.
Go on that one.
Will you use P2C codebase?
Yeah. I sometimes joke about Revo being P2C, you know, plus or whatever, because like in a we're using their code and just add our own stuff on top of it. Sometimes that means removing certain features that they have that we don't need, and also, you know, adding our own stuff on top of that, our own features that we have. I make an effort to upstream changes when I can. Upstreaming means pushing my changes up to P2C's code, but that is not always that easy and straightforward, and you know, I have to weigh the time investment of making my working on my own game and pushing up to their engine, when then those changes might require, you know, a week of trial and of back and forth to get it merged in. But yeah, we used P2C engine with our own changes on top of it. Got a separate license for Port Revolution, and I'm very thankful that they still hold true to the initial promise of Chaos to keep this code open for all other licensees, so they can all use those features. I'm very grateful.
Do you run into difficulties designing test chambers exposed to the surface, or making it make sense within the game?
What kind of difficulties? I mean, I'm gonna assume just. Are you talking about like the visual? So this is a rhetorical question to actually type in the chat. If you're talking about like visuals, then it's definitely very much different to not using projected textures. But puzzle-wise, I just design the puzzle and then make the decorations later. So puzzle-wise, no, I'm not really doing anything different, except, you know, when you have like a tractor beam at the ceiling or something, then you have to kind of work your way around that to have that ceiling be there in the game, when you normally would have an exposed sky there. So those are kind of more difficult, but I can also work my way around that. Visuals-wise, it's very different. I can actually load up the game and show this later. To talk about to compare cascade shadow maps with projected textures, because using CSM makes the shadows look better, but also requires you to work with the lighting in a very different way. But I think I'll show that later.
Will the game have a chamber editor / workshop?
No, it won't. Simple answer, no, it doesn't. Main reason, use P2C. PGC is exactly for that, right? They've got all of the same features that we have, except for a few. But I'm gonna add, like, even the very little stuff that we have extra is gonna be upstreamed. Like, for example, the vacuum systems that we have. It's called a path v physics. It's gonna be upstreamed as well. Latest time is at release. So yeah, just use P2C. They're gonna have a workshop. They're gonna have all of that stuff.
Next question would be, what type of size and scope are you aiming for? Will there be big maps like Tartarus 09 in Portal 2, or are you going for something smaller and more compact?
Oh yeah, we have some big maps. We have some really big maps. Those chambers, or rather, those maps. Those are my shutters. Excuse those shutters. They're automatic. Just gonna have to endure them. There we go. They're really quiet for me, but oh, that's very overblown. I have already fixed that. Wow. Those shutters are really quiet for me, but it is like people have told me that they're super loud in the microphone. Yeah, we have some bigger maps. We like, but most of them, like I said, the Tartarus stuff. Those are mainly like behind the scenes story stuff, and we haven't shown any of that yet. At least not gameplay, like video in video form. There are some bigger maps, but obviously with Source Engine you want to keep everything as small as possible. So what we are doing is like giving the illusion that it's actually big while it's actually really small. Yeah, don't worry, it isn't all just small stuff like this.
Any other questions so far, unfortunately?
I think I've seen a lot more questions.
Unless I'm just blind. Oh, well, I've seen this one. Do modders still use Hammer? Unfortunately so.
Oh yeah, we still use Hammer. But our Hammer is a bit upgraded. We're not using Hammer++. Mainly because I talked to this with Ficole, the creator of Hammer++. Mainly because it doesn't have manifests. If you don't know, manifests are it's a file that includes other VMFs, so it's a way to split up your map into individual, like multiple maps, so people can work on it at the same time. But Hammer++ stripped all support for that, and we use it in a lot of maps, a lot of the bigger maps that have like 5 areas that could all be worked on separately. So that is the main reason why we don't use it. But our own Hammer, the Chaos Hammer, does have a lot of features in it that Chaos and also I have added to it. I've actually made a bunch of new features that I've already upstreamed a long time ago. This tarp is very cool. I made a Blender. Yeah, all of our custom models are made in Blender. This is a cloth sim that I've done and placed on there. I think it turned out super well. Your Fong materials look so good, Monty.
It does. I was surprised at what it looked.
Yeah, especially up here. The way it reflects there, it's just so good.
Yeah, way better.
Right.
I think it works with like either wet or metal textures though. It can't really do plastic sort of reflection.
I reckon it could plastic.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Certain
to
types
do.
of plastic.
Too wet
Certain types of plastic.
Yeah, it's like a shiny plastic with anything like coarse
Yeah.
or anything.
Fong is really only for very reflective stuff, but you can't really do like you need physically based rendering to make something like concrete look great.
Yeah, you can't.
We have a Pbr shader. I am surprised nobody's asked about this. Pbr. We have a shader, but it's so broken currently that we're not using Pbr in any way. If you don't know, Pbr stands for physically based rendering. It's a way of it's invented. I think Pixar invented it. It's just a standard to unify the rendering pipeline to get materials to look great. In layman's terms, And I mean, I don't know anything more about it either. Rory knows a lot more. Talk to him about specifics.
So, PBR. No,
You want to get into
basically
it?
it just means, yeah, it just means that like the idea is that you can have the same maps that carry across multiple different renders. So with previous render pipelines, you'll have like different maps, but if you put them into different programs, they'd look completely different. So PBR was designed to counteract that and just like have a general standard for like what realistic energy conserving like materials can look like. The problem is that our Pbr shader barely works on props, to the point where if you just try to put it on it, it looks so bad. And that was a real conflict when I was first joining the team, is that I was so used to working in PBR and using a PBR workflow that I ended up just, then when they looked great in like Substance Painter or whatever, but then when you put them in game, they just look like hot garbage. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so now I've started to try to move more towards more like Fong or just general like just plain old diffuse map workflow. And Monty's really good at that. He's really good at making the most of like the shaders that are available in the source engine.
Yeah, with a lot of problems, because I have to go basically with Fong. I have to use PBR in Substance Painter, but then sort of convert that back to Fong by basically just trial and error in Photoshop, changing the brightness values and just guessing basically most times. Just convert, because roughness is different to a Fong exponent. It's just a pain to get
Yeah.
to work properly.
The source engine workflow basically requires a lot of, like the source engine material workflow requires a lot of just guesswork and fiddling around. Like if you're making a material in like Substance Painter, then there's no source engine shader for Substance Painter. At least we've not found a proper one, and so you just have to like sort of convert the materials to use sources systems, which doesn't always work well. There is a Blender shader node for vertex lit generic, which works a lot better, but yeah, Substance is obviously much more powerful for making materials. But I think we've gone off a tangent here that no one asked for. At least maybe there was some interesting for some of them, but let's get back to the actual question.
Another question was, are there any secrets in the maps?
Secrets in the maps, let's look at one. I mean, so yeah, secrets is always a fun thing for players, right? Players love finding secrets and Easter eggs and stuff. People always ask me whenever I talk about my mod. I always keep saying my mod. I'm sorry, you guys. Yeah, there's a little. So this the rendering looks a bit weird because source engine, but there's like a little. Oops, I'm on the chair. This is like a little model of that actual test chamber with like icicle sticks. Icicle, not ice sticks. What? How do you call this? Ice cream sticks? Whatever. Popsicle sticks. Yeah. Yeah. It looks very very bad, but that's because I'm bad at importing this stuff. It looked much better in Blender. That was made by Rory. Well done. Also,
Way longer than it should have.
Oh yeah. Also, this is funny because you can jump back into the test chamber. And just solve it again if you want. And I think the music even starts playing, or doesn't it? I think I wanted it to start playing. Oh. But yeah, this is fully solvable again now. Should probably add some voice lines that play when you solve this for like 5 times and the character just is super annoyed at you. You don't need to solve the same thing again. You're not solving any more science. You're just solving the same science over and over. Little callback to Wheatley. I'm gonna go to the next question.
How long is the playtime total?
Total. Well, the mod isn't fully done yet, you know, so we don't have an exact estimate. But I can tell you that currently, so when I play this mod, right, on the I don't always play the mod from start to end, because I've played it so many times already. But I did play it on the Steam Deck. Which means controls that I'm not used to. It took me about 1.5 hours to play the whole thing. But I was playing in a way that, you know, I already know all of the chambers. I'm just going through it. It's like a speed run, but I am just playing it casually, right? It's more of a I don't know how to call it, right? I'm just playing it casually, but still playing it, you know, just I know all of the chambers already. I don't have to think. So that took me 1.5 hours. Players take twice as long at least. And we're still missing more than a quarter of the actual test chambers. So you can expect like 6 hours or more. I don't know, right? It's just a rough estimate. You're gonna have some fun playing this. We have a lot of content in this. Yeah.
Next question is, are the puzzles super easy like Portal 2's, or hard like Mel's standard, or advanced super hard like Team Prisons, or is there another description of the difficulty that you use?
Yeah, difficulty is an interesting topic. So the issue I think with Mel, and when I'm talking about issues with other mods, I'm not talking about it in a critical way. I'm talking about it in a way of how can we learn from this, right? How can we make our mod better than what came before us? And I'm not critical of Mel in any way here. But a lot of people had problems in Mel, and I think the issue is because Mel's puzzles are a lot of the time very, I call it a circuit board level, where it's just pick up the cube here, put it there, place the portal there, turn this up here. They're completely fine puzzles, but they're not as fun some of the time as Portal 2's puzzles, where in Portal 2 you fling through the air, place a portal there, and then jump around on that stuff, and have catapults that like are chained in a way that's really fun. So Portal 2 does a lot more of just fun things with the puzzles, and we're trying to go in the same direction of having fun things in the puzzles, like, you know, this here, I guess. I mean, might not be the most fun, right? But it is better than a puzzle with 5 fizzles in it, which we had puzzles like that in the mod, but they've all been cut because they're just too boring with so much good content, right? So yeah, we're trying to have fun things in the levels, like new ideas, but still keep them more difficult, right? They're definitely more difficult than whatever Portal 2 has, so it's definitely above Portal 2. But I would say below the difficulty of Mel a lot of the time. We have some puzzles that are more circuit board like. One of them was the one that's on YouTube. It's gameplay demo 2, I think, with the single portal gun. That level is a pretty boring puzzle if you ask me. But that is like a mental challenge, right? We don't only have those puzzles, we have all kinds of puzzles, and try to place them in a certain way to have the pacing be as best as possible, right? That, okay, after this huge amount of mental work, now you're just gonna have a bit of fun and on a bit of more of a playground type of puzzle. And also, because we're introducing our own test elements, or at least elements that haven't been seen in Portal 2, like this, right? We have to start from scratch with the learning curve, right? We can't just assume that you know how these work. We have to have those introduction puzzles. And we even have introduction puzzles for stuff like cube removing, like this, you know? We have an introduction puzzle that this is an actual feature. So all of those intros should also make the puzzles easier in general, and playtesting has really shown that players who have very little experience with advanced or, you know, modded Portal 2 or with like workshop maps, they can beat the hardest chambers in Portal Revolution pretty quickly. They get stuck at certain points, you know, but they can beat all of those maps with relatively no problem because we have those intros, right? They really struggle with the intros. They think this is impossible, but once they figure it out, they have like cube respawning in their tool belt already and know how to apply it. And it's just the most rewarding thing ever to see a playtester say, oh yeah, I know what to do. I need to do a cube remove here. Like, that is the most that's also the most rewarding thing when a playtester tells you that they are recalling an introduced element. And I think it's working out pretty well so far. I hope that answers your question. We're gonna just by the way, we're gonna have a break in 10 minutes for the full hour, right?
When asked, will there be RTX support?
Rory, how's that looking?
No.
No, it's not gonna be. No.
Oh, shame.
Portal barely supports Vulkan, and even that's in like very early stages. Adding any sort of RTX support, like at least with the technology that exists right now, like we're just running DX9, DX11.
This is
And
running
even if we were in
DX11. DX9 is deprecated. Yeah.
Wait, is it now?
Yeah.
Oh.
You can
we're still
you can run the engine in DX11 and also DXVK, so Vulkan, but I've not used DXVK too much. But even on the Steam Deck, just running it in DX11, it runs perfectly fine using Proton, with no graphical issues whatsoever.
Next question would be, are there any upcoming Portal 2 mods you guys are looking forward to? Desolation or P2C maybe? Well, yeah, that's the P2C though.
We can all have a little. We could all say whatever mods we're interested in, if you want. As for me, I don't really keep up with Portal 2 mods too much, mainly because I don't want to get excited about something that might eventually get cancel or whatever, because I've been disappointed enough times that I'm sort of tempered my expectations. Not to criticize anybody here. Desolation looks very promising, but I don't know when they're gonna release. I can only really get hyped when there's a release date and I can know how this is gonna be. P2C is gonna be fun how that turns out, since I'm no longer on the team. I had my ideas of how it could look. Gonna be interested to see what other people do with it. And we have Ace, Mystical Ace, the lead developer of P2C. We have him on the team here, so we're always in very close contact about certain things.
Yeah.
The one thing I'm waiting for is Alive and Alive and Kicking. When is that gonna come out? Honestly, it feels like it's been 10 years since that's been announced.
They've been working on the friggin' escape sequence for, they said, around 5 to 6 years. I don't think it's coming out.
Man, yeah. See, that's the thing right? I'm trying not to get excited too much about upcoming mods, because at the end I'll just be disappointed. But yeah, if anything comes out, I'm always looking forward to playing that.
Yeah, I guess my one, I should say, is Desolation. Not really for the gameplay, but more just the tools. I really want tools so badly. 'Cause it's just like such a... just a whole new, sort of, what's the word? I can't remember the word.
You're talking about P2C right now?
Nah, Desolation's new toolset.
Oh, Desolation.
Yeah, just get all of their lighting and everything. I just want not to worry about, vertex lighting, the horrible sort of...
Yeah. It would be cool to get that lighting into here as well. Maybe someday we'll be able to share those features.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not sure.
The mods I'm the most excited for are basically any of them that come out. Like Steph said, even Portal Reloaded got a lot of hype, and relatively speaking, that's a pretty... not that many big mods to actually release. So whoever it comes from, whichever team ends up doing it, that's the mod that's the most...
I think if I accidentally muted you for 2 seconds, but I think people will still get what you said. I'm sorry.
Oh, I cut out?
No, I muted you I muted you because I accidentally, sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, whatever.
I think it still came through, it was only for very short.
Yeah. Whichever mods release.
Yeah, same with me. I can get excited about mods, but there's so much so many mods being developed and so many being cancelled and so much drama everywhere that I just want to see something released and then I can enjoy it. Yeah.
Trust, you wanna
share a favorite? You wanna share a mod you're looking forward to, except for this?
minimum PC requirements for Revolution.
Yeah, gonna go into that in a second. Okay, I actually managed to disable the AI. I'm very proud of myself. So this is that map. You've all seen it. I just wanted to switch the scene a bit. PC requirements, yeah. So I have a PC with parts from 11 years ago by now, so before Portal 2 launched. And I'm using that as like a minimum test bed to run this. And this game runs on 40 FPS on average on that machine. There are some maps where it dips, but I've been improving that. So yeah, I'm gonna post the specs. They're really low specs, honestly. You know, like a PC from 11 years ago. Come on. Yeah. So that is the PC that I use as the minimum specs, but there will be recommended specs as well. I'm running this on a GeForce 1070 Ti, which is already over 5 years ago by now, I think, and an Intel i7 9700. That's a bit of a faster CPU. I think that's a bit more recent than the graphics card, maybe. But yeah, I'm running that rig right now, and so it's a PC that's good, but it's already old. Like we have RTX whatever now, and I still have a GeForce 10 series. But yeah, this game runs at smoothly 100 200 FPS. So if you're running that sort of rig, you're gonna have bountiful FPS. I always just say whatever you have in CS:GO when you're on a server alone. That's the FPS you're gonna get here, and the FPS will get better than this anyways, because we're working on systems to combine props, which reduces draw calls. So in short, you're trading off GPU performance with CPU performance to make the game less CPU bound in a way, which increases performance, because Source is already very CPU heavy instead of GPU heavy.
Here first, it's going to be coming to your Samsung smart fridge within 2023.
Oh yes.
Play it on. Yeah.
Oh, I think the port is broke. Well,
When that happens.
I'd say let's have a little break, and we'll be back in about 5 or 10 minutes. See you all in 5 minutes. Gonna put the break here. Yes. Enjoy the screenshots of in development screenshots and broken stuff. See you in a minute. We're back. Alright, welcome to the Port Revolution Hallway of Meta Commentary. Yeah, that was a fun little section to bridge a gap. It's never gonna be revealed what's in there. The Hallway of Meta Commentary. Let's go to this again, yes. Marty, I feel like you've been missing so many questions here.
I've been staying at the top. I don't think I missed any.
Well, maybe you have actually answered them all. I think I might just be reading a lot of compliments. Oh, this looks great. Yeah, thanks.
Just read one out now, or
Yeah, we can keep going.
yeah. Are there any significant new mechanics that you might add? Oh God, Jesus Christ! Might add beyond the pneumatic diversity events?
Yeah, we have the Paint Fizzler, which we haven't really shown too much of what it can do. I hope that this is actually the newest compiled version where this does work. No, it isn't. Okay. So this is an issue with this map in particular. The Paint Fizzler is an orange fizzler, and I don't like custom fizzlers normally. This one though, I think works just fine. Because it is the only one that we have, and it works in a very consistent way. So this cleans gels, because normally in Portal 2 fizzlers don't clean gels. You can shoot straight through them, and this one, it blocks the paint here, and also it's supposed here. It's a bug right now here in this map. It's supposed to only clean objects and not fizzle them. So that is another custom element, but we don't have that much emphasis on it, right? We don't have an entire act for this, like we do with the diversity event. Apart from that, yeah, the skybox is great, isn't it? Apart from that, we have the Schrodinance Cube. Should we show that map? Why not?
Yeah, come on. With my new special textures.
Yeah, for the loading screen I'm gonna switch to gameplay footage though. Yeah, the Schrodinance Cube is a cut element from Portal 2 that we found in the code and revived. I think the P2C campaign will also have some puzzles. It's going to be interesting because it looks like Revo is going to release before P2C to see how much the design of those puzzles will be influenced by this mod. So yeah, that is Schrödinger intro. It's a map that we've been working on. This is an unfinished map, so keep that in mind. It's this screenshot here. So this is the Schrodinance Cube. There's going to be a full gameplay demo video for this element too, for this map. So we aren't going to show the entire map, just the first two test chambers. But yeah, the Schrodinance Cube. It's an interesting element. They're always bound together, so you have two cubes, and when you power one, the laser disappears and appears at the other cube. So now you have a mobile laser, which is very interesting. And if you put this away, then it gets unpowered again. So you basically have like a remote activation device here. So this first puzzle is very simple. Yeah, this is another issue we're having right now, but I'm working on that.
Anyway, next question I could ask would be change the chat color to white, everyone. What is the ratio of maps from one portal maps with two?
What did you say? I didn't understand.
What is the ratio of maps from one portal and maps with two? Oh right, I see. What is the ratio of maps with mono portal puzzles and maps with two portal? That's what I mean.
Yeah, it's 30%, 70%, I'd say. The first act is entirely with one portal, and the second act, halfway through, you get the full portal gun. I'm trying to be more vague with this sort of stuff, right, because it sort of spoils a bit of the progression, but I mean, it doesn't really, right? And I think it's an important question, because if this was just monoportal, I guess I get that a lot of people would be disappointed. But yeah, Act 1 doesn't really have any other custom test elements like Schrodinance cubes or vac tubes. So we're using it as a version, as an opportunity to experiment with monoportal puzzles in a way that neither Portal 2, nor Portal 1, nor any other mod has really done, except for blue portals maybe, but that's a Portal 1 mod. Yeah, so the first act is entirely monoportal, the second act is halfway through, or I guess not even halfway through, it's like, yeah. In the second act you get the full portal gun really early. At first we wanted Act 2 to be fully monoportal as well, but that didn't work out too well, because we really wanted to have some full portal gun puzzles.
The next one is, how does the chamber designing process look like?
It's very interesting. I think we do it much differently than to a lot of other people. So all of the test chambers are designed by me. I'm the only one really doing level design. The others are mainly doing like decoration or like stuff like that. But the bulk of the puzzle and level design comes from me. And the way I work is I first make a skeleton chamber, I call it. Maybe I could even show some screenshots of what those look like, if I have one. A skeleton chamber basically is just, yeah, there we have one. So this is that map, in a very unrecognizable state, I guess, where it just includes the important elements. So I don't have any like walls or anything here. Some people first start in PTI or make like, you know, a gray box. I start with full textures, except for placeholder stuff like this that used to be there before I figured out that this was actually very reliable, and I didn't need that little basketball shield. Because I find that if I fill it in with dev textures or other stuff, then I get too much into the mindset of how this is gonna look. So if it's all just a blank slate, a clean blank slate, then I find it much easier to decorate. So yeah, I first figure out the gameplay, try to play test that. But most of the time I'm very confident in the idea anyways. And after playtesting, you know, if stuff doesn't have to change too much, I can go on and just decorate. And so then I just, you know, start out with some ideas that I had. Like here, you can see that even in the block guide, I already had sort of an idea of what I wanted to do with this. So I placed in a few of the like key props that you're gonna see, and I just fill it in until it's at some point done, or at least sort of done. Like this isn't a final screenshot either. There's a lot of stuff missing here and there. So yeah, it's very iteratively. For behind the scenes, it's a bit different sometimes. Those usually change a lot more, because it's also where a lot more story happens, and you have like, you know, cores that follow you around on rails and stuff like that. Yeah, so that is basically how I do test chambers from a design perspective, from a progress perspective.
Next question would be, if PUC would get cancelled, would you pick up the slack and make Revo SDK?
I hope that's not gonna happen. Ace, how does that look? He joined.
Don't know where he's gone.
You gone?
Yeah, I just didn't want to.
Yeah. So we've got Ace here. He joined during the break.
Yeah.
Maybe so we all introduce ourselves at the start. Maybe introduce yourself. What are you doing on the mod?
Okay. Hi, I'm Mr. Calais. I'm one of the level designers for Portal Revolution. I mainly specialize in making some parts of levels, doing logic work that Stefan doesn't want to do, and detailing little sections that other people would maybe find boring or just not have an interest in doing.
That really sounds like kind of like you were just giving you like all of the crap. So
No, I
what you're specifically referring to, I think, is like scenes and animated stuff
Yeah.
in maps. Yeah, that is a thing that I
Yeah.
don't like making, and like hand placing like office props. But you really enjoy that, so naturally, you know, we'll split up our strengths and work on the things that we enjoy most.
Mhm. Yeah, I quite enjoy doing a lot of that stuff, especially like in Hammer Logic. I find a very interesting puzzle usually to figure out how to get things done using only Hammer Logic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, will P2C get cancelled? So I have to pick it up.
No, hopefully never.
Ultimate timeline.
Yeah, if it ever were to get cancelled for whatever reason, if I have the time, I mean, you know, P2C, I started that mod with, or I guess I joined Citadel with in that mod's effort. So I was very much into the concept. So if I could, you know, work on that again, would be cool, of course. Especially if it got cancelled. I mean, I'm not making promises. Like, this is not gonna happen, right? But yeah, I still love the idea of the project and all of that. But I'm more interested in making games rather than making engines. I already have an idea for the next game after this, and I would rather do that than keep working on, you know, on Portal stuff forever.
Next question: who records the gameplay in demo videos?
Yeah, that's me. Question answer.
Who else did you think it would be?
Yeah.
Next question: do you love God?
I hope this isn't a serious question, because
Moving on.
no, not really. We're, you know, I mean, technical people tend to be a bit more atheistic, if that's a verb,
Yeah, I guess.
or I guess adjective.
Anyway, next question: will Revolution feature any custom assets? Oh, never mind.
Who asked?
Oh boy, let
Such
me
as a
tell
man.
you about.
Who asked that?
Oh, it's bloody November.
Ah, November, yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, evil. Actually, evil.
No custom assets in this at all.
No,
whatsoever.
He says, looking at Fong props and custom Schrodinance cubes and custom music, which you can't hear because it's so quiet.
Yeah. Okay. Next question was: Stefan, can I join and answer people who have playtests who have?
That's Trico asking.
Yeah, oh, it's Trico.
Yeah,
Trico.
it's
Well, that's all the questions we have so far.
If anybody has questions for playtesting or what playtesters do, you know, feel free. Gladly, I'll answer them myself.
I feel like any questions that could be answered by playtesters could be answered by developers a lot better.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a developer Q&A.
Well, I've got to head off now, so I'll see you later.
See ya,
Bye.
Frosty. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Alright,
Bye.
well.
After the coverage method, yeah, the issue with that is it doesn't work. It only works on when you have anti-aliasing enabled. I try to use it for vac tubes to get better sorting, but when you turn off anti-aliasing, it breaks completely, and it's just invisible. I hope there was a better way to get translucent stuff to sort properly, but I guess no, unless I actually force on anti-aliasing.
I mean, most PCs could run it, couldn't they?
Yeah, of course. But still, it isn't a proper fix, you know.
Fair enough. Actually, I missed the question. Will all the Revo engine changes be upstream to base P2C, or when, if so?
The ones
I
that
answered this one already.
yeah, I answered it sort of. The ones that the ones that make sense to upstream, yeah, like all of the like engine features that are sort of abstract, of course. Things that are more specific, not, right? Like changing the engine doesn't just mean adding stuff or fixing bugs. It also means removing all Half-Life 2 entities. You guys want us to upstream that?
Oh god.
Yeah, it's just a necessary bloat on the engine. It's trying to in P2C, it's trying to always pre-cache all of the Half-Life 2 weapon, like models and textures and sounds and particles and everything, and that just spams the console if you don't have them. And in Revolution, we're never gonna use a Half-Life 2 cheap, so I removed it all.
Yeah, it tends to be a sort of running theme when you're like playing on P2C is breaks it.
For P2C, it makes sense if it wants to be such a modular base, but for us it doesn't. I think there are some new questions there.
Oh yeah. Is the mod a full-time job or more like a home project?
Yeah, so it's not a full-time project. Although, at least I spend a lot of my time on this. So when I was a student, so that means for the last, up until like a few months ago, because I graduated, I just worked on this on my spare time. Whenever I had time, took it more seriously after some point. Corona, the whole Corona situation definitely helped with me having a lot more time to work on this, because no commute time, and I can't just keep working on this instead of listening to my professors. I'm sorry, professors. Yeah, now I work an 8-hour day doing civil service in Austria. That is every male, it's every male has to do that. Every male person in Austria, and I'm doing that for 9 months. So yeah, it's a full-time job, and I use all the time that I have left to work on this, which is about 4 to 5 hours. But that also means that I have no other time besides this. It isn't like full-time because we don't have any budget for this, but at least I'm trying to use as much as every last hour. Yeah, so this is a chamber that's very unfinished if you're ever interested in how this looks. That's how this looks, just very basic textures, nothing else in it. The first thing I'm trying to figure out is the lighting. If the lighting doesn't work, nothing will work. Like everything that I add now will just make this better. To get back on to the question about how the levels are made. Yeah, because if the lighting doesn't work, nothing works. Ooh, awesome! Let's showcase this. These are some updated assets.
Oh yeah. Can't pull my changes though, so no,
I don't have the dirty one pulled yet.
yeah, or the new catcher either, unfortunately.
Yeah. So Monty's been retexturing the laser relay. Oh, I don't think you've made the dirty emitter yet, have you?
No, I haven't yet. I need to do that because the UVs are broken.
Yeah. You recently made a catcher.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we also need dirty versions for all of these.
Yeah. Pain.
Yeah, we've already got clean versions. Maybe we can show them in a clean map.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very happy with the changes. They use Fong much better. Let's actually load up that map. I'm gonna quickly change this. Switch into our laser intro. It's called laser intro. Yeah. We of course don't introduce the elements to anyone for the first time, but it's still good to have a puzzle that reminds them of what elements exist and how they work. I hope I still have AI disabled. 1 second, I'm just gonna mute the desktop audio for a sec. Yes, AI disabled worked. Good. So this is, I think we've shown screenshots of this, but not any gameplay yet. I'm not gonna solve the puzzle. You can solve it in your head if you want. But yeah, you can really see the upgraded asset here with better bump map and better Fong. It's very small subtle improvement. This one's still the old asset. The improvements are very subtle, but you can they're definitely much higher res. Better defined corners here, and not just like solid colors. What if you fizzle one of the laser teleporter, the Schrodinance cubes? That's interesting. Both of them fizzle.
Yes, both cubes are interlinked. Both cubes are interlinked, so if something happens to one cube, the same thing will apply to the other.
Yeah, I can show you that. Off one of the fizzle maps. I don't want to show too much.
Also, Hamburg asked a question as well.
What else?
Yeah, for Project
Oh, you got a spammer. Best
Hey, yo.
adult dating site.
Hey, yo.
How do you, what? Hide user. It isn't called block, it's called hide user. Great. Yeah, I don't know what those spammers try to achieve, because I don't think anyone... I think even my grandma would click on that. Not even my grandpa. So... that's the game. Yeah, so the Schrodinance Cube, I don't think we've explained them fully. They're not only interlinked with lasers, they're interlinked with everything. If you fizzle one of them, both of them fizzle. If you paint one of them, both of them get painted. I don't know how many puzzles we're gonna have with that mechanic, but this is definitely very interesting, because it allows you to like remote fizzle a cube. And that could mean that, you know, because these, I haven't fully designed all of the puzzles yet. With these cubes, we have like a few puzzles, but not all of them. Because they block lasers, you know, you can have something like, oh, you have to fizzle this cube to unblock the laser so it can go into a catcher. It's a very interesting element. We have some other elements, some other custom elements, element ideas, and we didn't go with all of them. We had the Friesler, we had the, I think I called it the catcher or whatever. It was basically like a beam that holds something in place. So we had a bunch of custom element ideas, but none of them really turned out to be that fun or interesting. But this cube has so many applications. This, I think, is a very promising test element.
Anyway, the other question Hambrix wanted to ask was, can you give any mod/project leading tips?
Project what tips?
Like leading tips, I guess, you know.
How to lead a
How to
project.
Yeah.
Oh man, if you ask me for tips, then I'm giving you tips, and that means that I think that I'm the best lead dev of all time. And if you think that, then that means you're not the best lead dev of all time. So one of the things that you have to realize is that if you're the lead developer of a volunteer project, you have to be the main driving force, right? You can't make this other people's projects. I see some people, and I mean mainly kids, or like, you know, whatever, like asking, hey, I have this mod idea, can someone help me make it? And they only like write stuff and want other people to make all of the maps for them and command them out. That doesn't work. If you're the lead developer for a volunteer project like this, you have to be the main driving force. You have to like know more than everyone else on the team, at least think that you know more. What I'm saying, you have to fill all shoes basically, right? Like, I'm not doing music, I'm not doing voices, but I'm still directing the voice actors, I'm still directing the music producers to go back and forth with them with what I'm looking for. I'm making all of the level design here, except for like a few things, you know, like most of the level design is done by me. I decorate most of the maps. The other mappers, they also do a lot of the work, but I think proportionally it's still mainly me. Like this map has been all decorated by me. I do all of the sound integration and character animation. Although Monty has been interested in that, the only thing that's been stopping you from animating characters is the engine is bugged for you for some reason.
Some programs doesn't work.
Wasn't it a Windows 11 thing? I don't know. I can't really debug
it. To be.
Because for Rory and me it just works fine.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, if you're a lead dev, you have to realize that you have to be the main driving force, and you also have to. It's something I still struggle with, right? You have to trust other people if you want other people to help you. You have to trust other people's abilities to make stuff, and if it isn't exactly right, you know, maybe it doesn't have to be exactly the way you want it to be, or just a thank you, you know. If it has to be different, then maybe you should touch it up a bit, right? Yeah, one thing that I struggled with at the start is I was just a huge dick. I was just super unfriendly with people. I expected way too much of the people, of the contributors. So a lot of the early contributors will definitely tell bad stories with me. And I always thought that, hey, they aren't motivated enough to work on this and dedicated enough. But I mean, why would they, right? The most dedicated person to a project is gonna be the lead developer, and if you aren't the most dedicated person, then it makes you a bad lead developer, right? You sort of have to be your own best. You sort of have to be the biggest fan of your own work, because otherwise, why are you even doing it? Even though you're also critical of yourself and everything, right? Yeah. Again, you know, this is all coming from a guy who spent 7 years making a mod for a game. Is now 19 years old and hasn't released it, so if I said anything bullshit here, then then obviously, 'cause I haven't.
Also, don't ask for help from other people until you have at least something like to show for your own work, which kind of ties into what Steph said. Like,
oh yeah, that's another thing. Yeah,
that's something I just hear, just like in time, like doing like freelance stuff. Like, that's something that personally bothers me.
If you're looking for contributors, people won't contribute to your project until they see that this is worth their time investment, right? At the start, it was difficult to find contributors, but now, after years, when I've been looking for music producers, been looking for voice actors outside of the Border community, right? I shared the project and I asked, hey, why do you want to work on this? And they all think, yeah, this looks like a promising project. Like, I can see where this is. Oh, we got another spammer. I can see where this is going. I want to be part of this because I believe in the project. And if it's another spammer. No, it isn't. It's just leaked.
I think they really love Revolution.
Yeah. Yeah, you need to show. It goes in the same way if you have to be the main contributor, right? You don't really have to trust in the project. You also have to have trust in you that you're going to finish it, because nobody wants to work on a project that's not going to be released. Right? That is just a waste of time. Yeah, even before I started looking for any sort of contributors, even before I started looking for like the first music producers, the OG, like, you know, Srezlan, I was still working on this mod alone for like a year, just trying stuff out. And then I thought, hey, you know, maybe. And I wasn't even looking for contributors. People just came because they thought, hey, this looked interesting. But yeah, I don't think I want to say that your mod has to be the best thing ever, right? It has to like be completely revolutionary, or else nobody wants to work on it. But rather, it has to be worth people's time to invest their, you know, to invest their time into your project if you want contributors.
The next question was, how can we still divide up work so that leads don't do all the driving?
Sorry, what did you say?
How can we still divide up work so that leads don't do all the work, basically?
Dividing work, yeah. I don't have any issues with. So that for me, there is some work that I don't do at all, right? Like music producing, I don't act in the game. I have other voice actors. But yeah, splitting up the work for mapping is very difficult for me, because I'm a major mapper on this, right? Splitting up work for asset creation is much easier because I don't make any 3D models. I use Blender and you know, source engine models. I do a lot of work with that stuff, but I don't make any original ones. I mean, it's just edit existing models or bring them into source and to work like that. For maps though, yeah, I'm just trying to see what are the tasks that other people, you know, that I don't have to do. Like, if I have a map with a specific like story important vista and I know exactly how it looks in my head, then I'm gonna make that. But if I go here and say, hey, I already decorated the first 2 chambers in this level, can you do the rest? If they already have some reference and if they already know how to work, and if you know that they can pull this off because you have trust in them and you've seen their previous work, that is the kind of work that can easily be split up, right? Yeah, it is a thing that I struggled with a lot because I always had this pride that I wanted to do this myself. This is my mod. I gotta do it. Nobody else can do it better than I can. They always just give me crap and whatever. But that's because I didn't give them the correct tasks. I told them, hey, can you make this chamber from scratch? And didn't give them any sort of direction or whatever. And then I'm disappointed in the end. Well, of course I'm gonna be, because I didn't tell them what I expect. But if the specifications are tight enough that people know what they have to do, that is splitting up work much easier. I think I'm going on the 5 different tangents here right now. Yeah, so basically, find work that you don't have to do, that other people can do, that doesn't have to be exactly how you want it to be, and then also be a bit more loose on your expectations, and also communicate with the contributors, right? Go in a voice chat with them. We have weekly meetings. Not all of the time you can make it, obviously, because it's a volunteer project. But if you're good with your team, and can communicate with them and just talk with them about what you want to do, it's going to make that a lot easier.
The next question is, how large is the development team?
The dev team. That question isn't easily answered, because I mean, if you were to look on how many people have the role of team on the server, on the Discord server, it would be 8, and that's myself, Bonty, Ace, Rory, Frosty, Jared, XCap, and Will. And 2 of those are voice actors. They don't do anything else but voice acting, except for Will. I think he's gonna help edit the trailer and stuff like that, because he's a professional editor. Jared makes music and just music. You know, they aren't contributing any maps. Still part of the team. So right now it would be the core team of 8 people, but we have had other contributors in the past who left the team either because of just faded interest, or life just happens, like Stresler, for example. We split parts on very good terms. We're still in contact, but she like music creation just wasn't her main passion. It was just a side thing that she tried to do for, hey, it has a crappy mod, let's make crappy music for it. Her words. Yeah, so interest just fade. In total, there've probably been like over 20 people. If you count every contributor, because there are also some people who just like make one asset and then that's it. You count those as being part of the team, they're certainly a contributor. So core team would right now be 8, and contributors we've had dozens. I think it's time for another break again.
How's it been? Feels like
I don't know. Yeah, it feels like 10 minutes, but it's already been like 40 minutes.
Ah, jeez.
Stick around, because we're gonna reveal some. What are we gonna reveal? We're gonna show you something. I'm gonna show a fun thing. A thing that I've been working on very recently. Yeah. So see you in a minute.
Oh,
Oh.
the hot dating site returned.
We're back. Did it return? Oh man, do any of you have mod permissions?
No.
Can you, Monty, send something in chat? I'm gonna give you mod permissions, and Ace too. Give me mod, please. Yes. You shall be mod. Okay, you guys should be mods now.
Yep.
Alright, I think we still have some questions. I think we're gonna go on for 45 more minutes, so that's for me that's 8:30.
Yeah, it's 7.
Yeah, for me it's 8:30. It's like, yeah, the half hour in the next hour. I think we're gonna carry on to that. That will have been 2.5 hours then. So do you have any more questions here?
Yeah, we have a question for the stream stuff. What is the hardest part of development?
Oof, a long answer here. I might have to think about that. I can answer this in many ways. So the hardest like time of development of like a project life cycle is the middle. 3Crix Philip made a great video about mid-development hell, and that is what Port Revolution was for the longest time. I think we've exited it. At least I think at least I mentally have exited it. It's the period of time that this project went through. Talking about this specific project where there was no clear direction for everything. It was all like sort of just let's experiment with stuff. Let's try this. I have an idea for this. Let's make a map. There was no cohesive direction. And getting a cohesive direction for the whole mod is that was super difficult. Yeah, I think the most difficult period of development for this game definitely, but actually for most of the projects, I guess, the middle, where at the start you can add all of this stuff, right? It's a clean slate. The end, you're just finishing up stuff, polishing, fixing bugs. But in the middle, it's where you just have this immense amount of work to do, and you just have to force yourself to start doing it, because if you don't start doing it, then it will never be done. For this game, there are some like maps that are so daring for me to work on, and for anyone, I guess, because they are very important, and very big, and very complicated, and require a lot of creativity, and they have to be done. They're actually sort of more important than this test chamber, or than any test chamber, because you can always swap out test chambers, right? A test chamber is really simple to do. You come up with a puzzle. Once that's done, it's hard to do come up with a puzzle, but once you have a puzzle, you just turn on music and decorate everything until it looks pretty. But with these important, very scene-heavy maps, where you might even require physics simulations for a collapse sequence of something, like test chambers falling somewhere or whatever. Portal 2 has plenty of that. Those maps, where everything has to come together, are the most difficult to work on. They usually are in development for much longer than the average test chamber. And those have been the sort of test chambers that are the only ones in the to-do list right now. Because all of the test chambers are pretty much done, except for decoration in some of them. And yeah, it's now come to a point where we only have those very important big maps to do, and nothing else really. I mean, not nothing else, that's a lie, but yeah, I'm starting to work on those maps. And I've been starting to work on one of them in particular. I thought about showing it, but I'm not gonna. basically it's just a bunch of vistas, very like it has to be pretty, you know. It has to tell these story points. We've got this very interesting architecture going on everywhere there. And if you're not sure what it should look like, which we worried for a long time, and if the engine doesn't cooperate with your demands, which it didn't for a long time, then it's very hard to work on that. Luckily, at least with that map, I've started entering the honeymoon phase, I guess you'd say, you know, where the map just comes together very nicely. You just have to turn on music and can relax, and you can always see what it's gonna look like at the end. You just have to execute it. That would be the hardest period. If you want me to talk about, I don't just want to talk about, like, you know, development all the time. If there are other questions people have that are regarding the mod in particular, if you have another question regarding that, you can ask it. But except for that, I'd jump to the next one if there is any next one.
Not yet now.
Monty says, "Gimme mod, please."
Yes, you got it. You just have to ask.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, that's no more questions, unfortunately.
Alright then. Well, I'm gonna show off some. I think I might have overhyped what we're gonna show off. Because I thought about showing off that Vista, but I'm not gonna. So
There are at least some surprises for release.
yeah, it's. I hate to say it, but it's too epic to show for right now.
Wait till release.
It is pretty epic.
Yeah.
I was pretty blown away, but
I love Rory's description of this looks like a screenshot of, hey, here's what we did with the source engine.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you said last time we met.
Yep.
Thanks a lot. It's still not
So
done.
you'll have to wait till the friggin' mod releases to see this epic 10 out of 10 IGN very orange Vista shot.
It is very orange. So I'm gonna show some changes that have been made to these maps since showing them, right? I see we have some more questions. Don't worry, we're not gonna close off anytime soon. First I wanna show off this. Ignore this black bar, that's a bug. Some changes to this. I mean, button has been made bigger. I want to add some cables to this, or I read your guys' feedback. Yeah, if you guys have any feedback on all of this, we're gonna fix it. So thanks for all of the comments on this. That has been moved over. Oh yeah, the exit has been made better. Look at that. It's no longer just a hole in the wall where you enter behind the scenes. It's actually like a proper structure. Yeah. That has been moved over because it was a bit awkward to shoot on that weird panel. Nobody's complaining about that, but it's much better now. Yeah. By the way, I disabled AI, so there are no voice lines in any of this. No nothing. Do we have another question?
Yeah, we do. What is it? One more question about the Schrodinance Cube. Are they both the same, or one is transmitter and one is receiver?
They're both equal. In that second chamber, you actually have two cubes, and I shoot one laser into one cube. It comes out I'm gonna say cube A and cube B. I shoot a laser into cube A. It comes out of cube B, powers another laser that shoots into cube B, which comes out of cube A. You can do crazy stuff with it. They're both equal. They aren't send and receive. And that the second puzzle is meant to show that off, that people understand that. Yeah, I think that answers it.
Next question is, I thought it was interesting how you said you were already satisfied with the man concept for the story of the mod. How did you know it was a good story idea?
What was a good story idea?
It was the satisfied with the man concept.
I think main concept sort of sounds.
Oh, main concept. Oh, sorry.
How do you know it was a good story idea? It isn't a good story.
Great advertising.
No, so the thing is, Proto Evolution. I've been that's great shaders there. I've been watching and listening to so much like filmmaker story writing advice and that sort of stuff, and I'm figuring out so many flaws in Proto Evolution story. But I think it's still gonna be fine because first of all, I'm not making a film, right? And second of all, I just get a lot of support for the story from people on the team, from people writing, from people playtesting, right? So you know what's good from experimentation, right? And also I'm just happy with it. So you're talking about that post where I'm talking about what Ian contributed. By the way, Ian has since left the team. I don't think we've announced that too much. But yeah, Ian is no longer on the team.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was fast.
Yeah. And I think we'll still keep in touch for proofreading and stuff like that. But he isn't the main writer for the mod anymore. But his input does still have a lot of impact. So what changed with him were mainly I already knew certain problems with the story and with the characters and with the that stuff, and I knew that it would be better for someone else to help me with that because I'm not a full-time writer or a full-time character designer, I guess. It doesn't like designer, character, thinking up characters. So getting someone else is always great when you're brainstorming ideas and stuff like that, right? So we've just been figuring out all of these like loose ends and coming up with more ideas. The main idea of you're playing post Portal 1 where cores are trying to destroy GLaDOS has always stayed the same. It's never changed. But like previously, the story was like this. You get woken up by a core, he tests you. At that point the core was called Pete, it's no longer called Pete. He tests you within test chambers. You keep going in and out of behind the scenes areas willy-nilly for no reason. Because I was just, let's have a little arm there that opens up, and you go BTS for 2 seconds and then back in the test chambers. And at the end, your goal was to activate Aegis from Portal Stories Mel. That was the story in 2017, right? Since then it has progressed much further. I'm not going to spoil it, obviously. But when you play it, I think you'll realize that that core is still there. But it has just been much more stuff developed around it that makes it a more rounded experience. So there's just more in the story, but it all feels much more cohesive and interesting than it was before, definitely. He didn't help me improve that draft, though. That draft was already dead years ago when he joined. When he joined the team, I've already redrafted so much. I've already added all of the second and third, fourth and fifth acts. What? Third and fourth acts, I mean. And he just helped me refine those story ideas and tie up loose ends that I already knew I had. Yeah. But knowing what a good story is you just get feedback on it. And if people say they're interesting concepts, then it works out. In the end, a story is always just an excuse, like in a game, for telling what the player to do, right? I don't think that a game should be primarily about a story, it should be about the gameplay. So otherwise, just make a feature film. But
so
yeah.
Expect the upper tier of Wattpad fanfiction about Portal.
Yeah, in the end, we're just making a fan fiction here. But we're trying to make it, as Valve-like as possible, that it could pass as an actual game. And isn't just like cringy fan fiction. It's a thing I'm very careful of. Oh, Prism Studios. No, we actually asked them about Aegis even back in 2016, and they said yeah. So that has all been good. But to be clear, Aegis is no longer in the game. Hasn't been for about 4 years. It's just fun to talk about that because it was such a stupid idea. It was interesting, right? But I'm not trying to make Portal Stories Mel prequel. I'm trying to make my own mod.
The next question is, will we hear the Complimental remix before release?
Who asked that? Was the Trico?
No, it wasn't. It was someone else, Desmond.
Okay. Because Trico I already know it. The Complimental remix. I don't know. Maybe. I just have no idea. On release there will be a full OST. I mean, maybe not on release, you know, but we will release a full OST with the songs mixed to work as standalone tracks and with all of the like stems, because you know we've got so many stems here. Like the laser catchers, like playing music. There will be full OST and Complimental will be in there, the remix version. I don't think it's gonna be before release though. I don't know. Maybe.
The next question is, Trigger said, can you show the orange vista in the hidden channels?
No, you're gonna.
You're one of the beta testers. You get to play it when it.
You get to play it soon, anyways. The playlist build is almost done, or is it? What are we waiting for still? I don't know.
I remember.
Yeah, playlist build has kind of been interrupted because for no reason really. I've just been focused on that on that Vista map.
The next question is, what do you think about model slash collision scaling in Source? Have you ever tried fixing it?
Are you talking about prop dynamic or prop static? Because prop static has uniform scale and that works with that works really good. It's a CSGO feature which we're using a lot. It's very helpful with upscaling, like stuff like ropes or you know like rocks, things that don't have to be in a specific scale. If you're talking about model scale on prop dynamic, then I have not fixed that. I don't know if P2C has done anything about that. I don't even know what's broken because I've never used it.
I mean, how else are you gonna get 12-foot tall Schrodinance Cube?
Yeah, I'm very sorry.
Oh, no, new question. Do you see yourself publishing more workshop content in the future? You're streaming the creation of the overgrown workshop map was a big inspiration, same. Well, one reason I got into mapping.
Hearing these stories from you and Monty is so interesting because I like nobody ever talks about that. I don't get any comments, but the impact that those little streams have is far bigger than I guess I always think.
Yeah, I watched that entire 2-hour stream. Yeah, it's so satisfying. I come home from school and I just watch it. I don't know, I didn't have Hammer back then.
Also, the lag here is a bug with the faded lights.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I that for a while.
Yeah, I haven't had time to look into it yet. There's so many things to look into. I don't have time to look into everything. I should definitely look into that because it's very annoying.
Yeah.
I want to finish the climb. I have kind of done a valve where it released part 1 and part 2, but not part 3. That only happened because I didn't have time to finish up, what I wanted to do for part 2 in the climb is have a big sunset vista. Kind of stuff that we have now in the mod. Issue is projected textures, they don't work with that because the resolution is so limited. You need CSM for that to make it look great, you know. I have a very high quality of visuals. A very high standard of quality for visuals. And then I just ended up making just a test chamber with a very small skybox in the sky. Skybox in the sky, yeah. Skybox in the ceiling. And I didn't make any part 3. I can't justify working on workshop maps as I'm working on this. You know, hope this is understandable, because it's just a waste of time in my eyes. Right? Because any like work that I put into workshop map could be work that is put into Revolution. Yeah, I want to finish up that. And also Ace and I, we wanted to work on a co-op map for competition. And that never went anywhere because the engine was limiting us in what we could do. So we had a very cool idea, but we couldn't execute it.
It was very cool.
Yeah. And
I still hope we can bring that to light someday.
I hope we can someday do that, yeah. I think it would be great either as a P2C campaign. I don't know what your plans are for P2C, but I had the idea that it would be like, you know, you could play the main campaign, but you could also play like other featured, like basically mods, right? But like smaller mods.
That'd be like the idea of the workshop, yes. So you could upload multiple maps, so you could like play them as mini mods, so you don't have to like worry about people subscribing to them in the right order.
Yeah, another idea that I had
have
for
ideas of there being
a feature.
Curated items. Yeah.
Yeah, that was an idea that I had too, because it's something so difficult to find good stuff on there, and like a weekly like, hey, this is like thing of the week or whatever would be cool. But also instead a lot of drama was considered good. I'll keep that to you. Yeah, I mean, it would be cool to do it either as that or even as a DLC for Portal Revolution, although I wouldn't know how they would fit there, right? As a DLC for Portal Revolution, it would be easier for me because I have access to it all. It might be fun to make DLCs for Portal Revolution that are like completely disconnected from the actual mod. But any plans, you know, like any plans further than release, I don't have any plans there. I would really love to finish it up though. We definitely need some extension features. Co-op? No, there won't be co-op. I'm sorry, I just read that there. Won't be co-op.
Next question is the light bridge generating light hammer logic or named lights, or is it change of the entity?
Yeah, it's very stupid. It's just named lights that are being turned on and off. There's fade light feature where basically it fades to light maps. It just crossfades them, and that's how that works. It's the same thing that these portal spawners use. Like that is also a named light. Named lights allow us to have, because compared to D lights, like light dynamic looks terrible, and you can't fade it as far as I know. If you do this with the named lights, you will have better lighting. They won't have indirect lighting, but it's still ray traced. So it looks much nicer. Yeah, the issue is that we have like just tons of like dozens of lights in a line wherever the light bridge is. It only works because this light bridge is static and you can't redirect it, right? So if it was redirectable, it wouldn't work. But because it's static, it does work. And all of the fading is currently causing some issues. I think I know what it is, because my implementation of it, when I first implemented that fading thing to make it speed up and slow down, it worked just fine. But then Momentum added their own implementation, which is much smaller than mine, to be honest. It looked much nicer, but it's causing some performance issues if you have dozens of lights, which is fair. So I think I'm gonna do a mix of both of those implementations, where mine kind of look choppier, but theirs is much smoother but laggier. Gonna do a mix where I have smooth lighting transitions that are not choppy and not laggy. Yeah, those are just literally named lights.
Where's this one? That's about it, I think.
We're running out of questions, yes, Gregor. The climb is the opposite of Portal 2's the fall. Yes, it is.
It's kind of difficult to do a Q&A when there's only 10 people watching and 4 of those are probably developers.
Yeah. I mean, I just hope that there wouldn't be no one watching. If we still got a few questions.
Yeah.
Maybe if I announced this more ahead of time, I would have gotten more. But I wasn't expecting that many people anyways. And we've been here for 2 hours already. I think the ultimate question
Someone
is
asked
really
you
to
a
me.
question. Someone asked you a question. Will you continue making games/mods after Portal Revolution? And probably the follow-up to that would be, what?
What? What is I don't know what you mean, so I can't answer that. I'm gonna make games. I already have an idea for my next game. Would love to contribute with some of you guys on that. We're just gonna have to see, you know, like the future is very uncertain. It all depends on how this mod ends up being. If we can make it commercial, that's definitely opening up some doors to make more games in the future. I have an idea for a full new game. I also have ideas for other mods. One mod idea that I have is to I don't know the name. I think I jokingly refer to it as more Half-Life 2. It's a Half-Life 2 mod where I just take sections where I think they are a bit empty and just add more gameplay there. So it's just literally like taking Half-Life 2 maps and adding more gameplay, or like making them a bit more interesting in my eyes. Where the question at the start is, do you want to play more or less Half-Life 2? And if you click play more Half-Life 2, you play the mod. If you click play less Half-Life 2, you just quit the game. But that is sort of like a mini mod idea. It isn't like a huge thing like Portal Revolution, right? It's just like it's technically a mod. We'll have to work on it someday. But that wouldn't be a huge thing. It would just be like a map pack pretty much. Work for the laser. Yeah, the lasers don't have collision. Never noticed that before. Oh, that's also very good. Yes. Yeah, because portals are actually just rectangles, not an ellipse. It's a normal Portal 2 thing. Yeah. So the annoying thing is if you have something like this, right, and the lasers collide, you have to like jump over it in weird ways, and you still get hurt by it. It's just not fun. So we disable the collision. A bunch of workshop apps did it already. Yeah. It's just not fun to jump through portals when there's a laser going through it, and we have a bunch of cases where this happens, where you have to jump through a portal like this.
Someone asked, how much time in between weekdays is put into this, and how do you balance your work?
Yes, Trico, I'll fix this. For me, I have about 4 to 5 hours if I max it out after my full-time, job. So I try to put as much into it as possible, but obviously, right, I have to relax and recover and like sit in a bathtub and watch some movies as well, right? Yeah, I'm trying to put everything into it as I can. So I guess for right now it would be like around 2 to 3 hours that I could put into it in a day. Because I also work on other projects like my like websites and my personal stuff or the games websites which isn't up yet. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I do. I don't know, what about you guys?
Yeah, I find it difficult, I should say, because especially during college, that was quite difficult to balance it. But if you're not in full-time education, like I am now, thankfully, it's a lot easier, a lot more. I have so much more free time. When I realised I didn't have to like get up earlier, I think it's just it's quite freeing. But yeah, once it is quite difficult for people who either have a job or in full-time. So it's more of just, it's more of an art sort of thing. You're not gonna be 100% efficient at everything when you're making a mod. So
Yeah.
not the most important thing in the world, but it's good to sort of just manage it realistically.
Yeah, I mean, the expectation of work on your guys' end is obviously much lower. because it's a volunteer project and stuff. Yeah, I also find it much easier to motivate myself to work on the mod now that I'm no longer at school, because when I was at school, at IT school, sitting in front of my laptop for 8 school hours, or 9 or 10, you come home, you don't want to sit at the PC just making that again. It's so tiring, right? If your main main job, whatever, is computer science, and then your side hustle is also computer science, I found it much more grueling. But now I'm doing civil service, which, I mean, I've explained it before. I'm from Austria. Every male has to do either military service or civil service, which is a full-time job that I do for 9 months. I'm not gonna say what I do, but yeah, it isn't computer science. It's much more manual, much more involved with people. So it is a much better, sort of change to come home and just be able to sit on the PC, relax, just map. I find it much easier to motivate myself. Finding time is harder, but once I can work, I'm much more motivated to do work. And I'm not just sitting, I have to sit on the PC again and just, map this out, and I've been programming for the last 3 hours anyways.
Next question, what was it? Where did you learn visual design for logo/branding? I think you did,
I didn't. I consider myself being a very, very bad at branding and making graphics and that stuff. My sister did learn that. And my older sister, so I've been working with her to get the current iteration of the logo, and she also made one iteration of the P2C logo. I think you guys have changed it since. So yeah, I consult her with that, mainly because for that it's of course family, and it's also fun to work on something IRL and not just on Discord. I'm very happy with the current logo. I don't think that will change. We've had many logos over the years, but this one will stick, I think. I like the orange colors, but we've gone back to a more simplistic design that is more Portal-esque, right? Some mods have very wild logos where you can't barely even tell that a Portal, if at all. And I didn't want to go into that direction. I wanted to have something very basic, but still unique. And I mean, considering that Lambda Generations video about my mod, where that logo is they remade my logo, they didn't use the exact SVG, but considering that video is almost the most viewed video on their entire channel. I think the thumbnail does, it's a big contributor.
Yeah,
so I guess the logo does work, unless it's just the title saying this Portal 2 mod looks amazing. Whatever. I'm very happy with it right now. Yeah, I didn't learn any of that. I'm just winging this, But after doing it for 5 years and making crappy logos, at some point you figure out how to do something that isn't as crappy.
Yeah. Next question. Where was it?
Just walking in circles here.
There we go. If I want to become a game developer, in your opinion, what should I start with? Level design, programming, graphics, etc.
Man, don't ask me. I'm not a game developer. We call ourselves game developer, but we've not released the game. This mod is still in development. So take what I say with a grain of salt. I mean, Rory has made a game. He can call himself a game developer. It's on Steam. You can buy it.
Programming, because you literally can't. You can have a game without the other stuff, but you can't have a game without programming. So
Yeah.
even if it's just basic Unreal Engine node-based stuff, just learning the logic of programming and just some basic patterns is the skill that will help you the most.
Yeah, I would say it depends on what you want, right? If you just want to make assets, then obviously you don't want to learn programming. if you want to be a generalist game developer, like I am, like Rory is, I guess, I think you would consider yourself a generalist, wouldn't you? Even though you lean more into the programming.
Yeah.
But you're also starting to tip your toes into mapping and modeling. You've always sort of done with your new game that you're working on.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I don't know. If you want to get into game development, then you already have, I would imagine, you already have an idea for a game. The way I've always done stuff, the way I've always learned stuff is I had an idea for what I want to make, and then I look at what do I need to learn to make it happen. And if you want to make a game yourself from scratch, you have to learn programming. Depends on what engine you use. I would recommend Unity, because if you have no knowledge of game development programming, Unity I think is the easiest to get started with, because it's C#, it's a managed language, still very fast. You've got all of the assets, very easy to edit. Yeah.
Or just like don't start with like your dream game. Start with just like, like even if it just
don't
means
do what
like,
I did.
You start out by just participating in the GMTK game jam or like the Ludendari or something. Like that's usually a pretty great start for game dev, even if you have no experience whatsoever, like never touch the thing, because that'll force you in real time to try to learn things in terms of game dev. Like
if there are any
game you make at the start is gonna be hot garbage, but that's okay. Like you're gonna make
it isn't just okay, it's encouraged, because you learn from that. I've made a game jam game as well for my school's game jam. I'm gonna talk about school in a sec. And I consider it being the most polished entry of the competitions. But our game is just boring as hell. You basically just shoot a ball and stuff and break it. It sounds fun in theory, but it isn't really. I wouldn't consider a fun game, but it is a polished game. So I didn't really learn much in terms of. I mean, I learned that it's a boring game, but I didn't really advance in terms of gameplay ideas in that regard. But I picked something easy to get it done, right? But I did learn a lot about the whole process of starting something, coming up with an idea, realizing it, finishing it, and polishing it and fixing all of the bugs. If you're, I mean, I don't know how old you are. If you're like at a point in your education where you can choose your direction, right? There are probably some sort of game development courses. You could probably even you can do also computer science in university or whatever, but that is a lot more of a high bar to enter, because they're not gonna wait for you to understand what a garbage collector is. If you have the opportunity to go into game development, I mean. Game design and game development are very different things. In game design, you just draw pictures and make models. In game development, you program stuff and actually implement it. If you have the opportunity and you're interested, then definitely go for it. It's a great way to learn. I know a lot of people in my class. So I was in game development class, but I was already working on this mod for 5 years when I entered that class. So I was already a bit ahead on everything, on programming and all. But I still learned a lot about the theory. For online resources, I don't really know. But there are plenty of tutorials for how to make something in Unity.
Desmond asked, what do you think the best way to learn programming is?
Oh, Rory and I are gonna have a debate on that.
Oh
No.
God.
Search up how to learn programming, please help.
I would say to find a good tutor. If you can. Oh, that is stretched. Oh man. Look at that texture.
Hey, yo.
I didn't even notice that.
Hey, what the fuck?
Ooh. Monty, can you fix that?
I will open her now.
Thanks. School is, always great because you have a tutor. You can ask questions. If you have a bad teacher, then it obviously sucks. But I think it's easy to learn something from somebody. If you can't, if you're in school or whatever, there are great courses, and this brings us to our sponsor. No.
Brilliant.com.
Yeah. I would say, knowing what I know, I would like, if I were to teach people programming, I would start with JavaScript. For two reasons. It's an easy language to learn. It's easy to set up. It is still the same reason. It's easy to learn. It's easy to set up. It's easy to get running. Right? You don't have long C++ compilers. And also you can share it. That is the main thing. You can make a website and share it with people. Have a canvas where you draw stuff in it and share that, which I think is much more interesting than, we're now gonna spend a day installing the Java JDK to make to draw a triangle of letters in the console. And we're gonna do that for 5 months in this class. That was my programming class. Luckily, I already knew programming enough to not say that I could have a deal with my teacher, that I could just work on my own projects. But man, that doesn't make anyone interested in programming. I would do JavaScript. It's the way I started learning programming. I just opened up JavaScript stuff and figured out the syntax by myself. But maybe that isn't everyone's path, obviously. Yeah, I don't really have a general answer for that. But I think JavaScript is a great first language to learn, because it is also one of the languages that you can build an entire application with, front to back, with no other languages. You can make an entire website with backend server and frontend just in JavaScript. There's no other language that lets you do that. You can also make games in JavaScript, obviously.
You can use whatever engine language really appeals to you. In terms of starting out, some people get really hung up oh, what language should I choose or whatever, and it's just okay, just pick one. I started using Java. That's the worst language for game development ever.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah, honestly, just get the tool that is fit for the job. I think JavaScript is great for beginners because of the reasons I already mentioned, but in the end you don't have to, you are gonna switch between languages, right? You are not gonna stick just with one language. I started with JavaScript, then went to Java, then went to C#, which I really like now, and now I'm programming in C++ here. I also tried out Python and PHP, learned that I didn't like those a lot. My current favorite is C#, but C++ is what I'm programming in for Portal Revolution.
What is the name of Rory's game?
Well, what is
I
it?
put it in the comments. I put it in the chat.
Oh, in the chat. Yeah. Station. Oh, no, I thought your released game.
Oh, the Wizard game. Very creatively named.
Yeah. So Station 37 is a current game, which is a based on the Quake engine, which is very interesting.
Basically, it's just instead of, it's a easy engine that I can just keep shoving stuff onto. So whenever I need a new feature, it's just okay, just program that up. It's in C, which I like, and yeah, it's cool. But my re-released game is the Wizard game.
Yes, Station 37 kind of seems like the culmination of all of those interests you've always shared with me. Right, in terms of engine and game design, it just seems like the perfect toy game for you to express those interests in old original first-person boomer shooters,
The gameplay is a mix of Quake and System Shock,
and also a bit of Deus Ex, I think, in terms of level design.
Yeah, Deus Ex is based on System Shock.
Yeah, I guess.
So, again, you still need to play Deus Ex.
Oh yeah, I have to. Don't have that much time to play stuff anymore now, sadly.
Yeah, unfortunately, you can't really play it on the Steam Deck very well.
Ooh, I'm gonna try.
Because it uses basically every button on the keyboard, like the entire function row, the entire like top row.
Do you know that there's something
all of your
called
modifier keys.
a radial menu on the deck?
Oh,
So on the thumb pads you can hold, and then you have a radial menu on the screen where you can go to a key that you want on the radial menu to select it.
Bruh.
And then you can either have multiple layers of how strong you press, I think, or if you press other buttons too, then you have different menus. You can do so much with the Steam Deck Steam input. It's crazy.
That's actually really cool. I mean, you could probably map all like the augmentations and then the weapons and stuff onto a different.
I used it for Minecraft, for like stuff that you don't use that often. I don't really play Minecraft that much, but it was interesting to try.
Yeah, I mean, one of my friends did actually get Deus Ex running on Debian. I think he was ranked. No, sorry, he uses Arch Linux, by the way.
Obviously.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. It's genuinely like, I'd consider behind Half-Life the greatest shooter ever made. So, take that how you will.
Anyway, next question. How do you do version control with map/gamepad?
Git.
Well, you open your folder and then you type git in it, and there you have version control.
I think he's asking like, how do you have multiple people working on the same maps and stuff, and how do you manage that?
Yeah, so you can two tools you can use are very interesting. I mean, for models, where is that question? I want to read it myself. Out there. So for any sort of files, for any sort of source code files, it's super easy, right? But obviously, on the engine, so it's a different thing. Materials and models we don't really have issues with because we don't edit those that frequently. But maps are more difficult because you can only really have one person working on a map at the same time, and then you have to push it, and then the other person can work on it. You can split up a map and use manifests to have multiple VMFs for a single map that will be compiled into a single map. We used it, but then I don't think we ever actually used it for that. Like in our situation, we have so many maps that we can always kind of find something to work on. When I work on a map, someone else can always work on a different map, and then we can like swap back and forth. We don't usually do a lot of like handing over map files over and over and over and like reiterating at the same map file together. We don't really do that. And that isn't because of a limitation or anything. It's just how we work. We haven't really found much limitation with that. But what we do is, we have a Trello board, and this is something that we do, but also don't really. We have a list of all maps, and then just assign somebody to that map card when someone is working on that. But even that was kind of unnecessary, because we don't work on maps for that long or like change back and forth that much. But yeah, you can use those tools if you're having trouble with that. Just have a list of what people are working on, what maps, and don't step on each other's toes, or use manifests to split it up if it's very important that two people work on the same map in different places. Yeah, for a bigger team, I think it could be more of an issue, but here we are a very small team. We only have like 3 main mappers. Although Monty kind of doesn't do that much mapping anymore nowadays, I think.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, you should get back to that map.
I should. But
Yeah.
it's I don't know, mapping's just become such a... I don't know, I just sort of lost, like, all my mapping energies got sapped out of me for some reason.
Yeah, I can understand.
I don't know, I haven't used it for a long time, I sort of forgot how to use it for a bit.
Yeah. So for us, it hasn't really been a problem. But if you have problems like that, we're stepping on each other's toes. That could be a thing that you could try. You know, manifests. Or even use just using instances, but instances are a bit more of a hassle than manifests. Although manifests are also super bugged.
Yeah. Also, another thing with Git, just says now, make sure commits are actually like structured. You name them, like when you write them out, name them what they're actually like changing. Because I've worked on projects where they just have, sometimes have like a single letter of some of their like Git commits, and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
And you don't know what has been changed. You need to keep it all structured. I structure mine with what, like the asset that's been changed, the name of the asset, and then what has actually been changed. I always structure everything like a dash to make sure everything's separated.
Yeah, yours is even more structured than mine are, which I'm very impressed by.
I have really bit OCD about that.
The thing with me is that I just work on so many Git projects, right? You don't use Git as much as I do. And I use it more for coding than for Revolution, right? For my other projects.
Yeah.
I use it for every single of my project uses Git, obviously. Yeah, if you're using Git, which you should, you can also use other version control, but I don't recommend it. Unless, you know, like Plastics which is a version control system, has very good integration with Unity, so that might be useful. But if you're using Git, or whatever, if you're using version control, which you should, make sure to have a clean commit history, have clean commits where you don't just have like one commit, like did stuff, haha, and it's like 500 files changed. Try to have, oh yeah, updated, even if it's just updated map name. Like I sometimes don't remember what I did. And then I just say updated this map, or I just like change very few things and said fixed bugs or whatever. And then, you know, if sometimes I have like so many unstaged changes, like 5 materials edited, 2 maps, 15 voice lines added. Then I don't just dump everything into one commit. I type, oh yeah, added voice lines, commit that. Updated this map to fix bugs, commit that. Updated 5 materials to fix an nth map or whatever, commit that. Because if you're working on it, if you're working on a Git repo on your own, it isn't that important really, I guess. Although I still would recommend it, but if you're working with a team, proper commit names are very much appreciated, and it also shows a level of professionality, which is very important and appreciated by your contributors.
Also helps with troubleshooting. So like if you have like a
Yeah.
bug, something happens, you can always just roll back
You can then go.
in increments.
You can go back and see which commit broke that and roll that back.
It has been my biggest struggle so far in the team.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, you don't really have that much experience with Git, I guess, from outside, because you haven't really used it for your own code projects.
I mean, I use it. I'm just never. Just like projects with like only like 5 or 6, like 4 or 5 like people occasionally contributing, or what, like
Yeah.
the big code repositories are like scary.
Yeah, not a super active project. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the chaos source repository is working on that requires a lot of Git finesse. Our repository is very simple. We just have one branch. We are doing it would be called trunk-based development, where you just all working on one branch. Just pull and push. It's basically just a cloud, but with version control. Yeah.
Where are we?
Stefan, what is P4?
Perforce.
I don't know.
Perforce is a super old version control system that existed even before Git, which Valve uses because I guess they used it back then and they haven't switched. I think it also has some benefits with large files or whatever. Git is a bit weird with large files and distributed stuff and stuff like that. I've never used Perforce. It's a proprietary thing where you only have like one central server. I don't know anything about it. I've never used it, but I know that Valve uses it. A version control system. So a version control system is something that helps you on a high level. Something that helps you work with other people on your projects, right? If you are familiar with a cloud, which you probably are, you have like a folder on your PC, right? And that is like synced to OneDrive or Google Drive or whatever. And you just add a file there, and then it will be synced and uploaded. Issue is, what if two people are working on the same file on that cloud and want to like upload, we call that a push, those changes to the cloud? Then you'll have a conflict because the system doesn't know what it is. And if somebody uploads, or deletes everything from the system, you have no idea when that happened, who did that. And what a version control system does is it's basically like cloud, but for each change you make something called a commit. That's how Git does it. It's probably called the same in other source control systems as well. You make a commit with a name where you know these files have been changed in this way at this time by this person. Then you push that, and if somebody else has made changes to the same files, Git is smart enough to merge those two. If it isn't, then it's called a merge conflict, which you have to resolve. So you open those files and fix them. So the benefit is that every change is always there. It is always like existent. You can go back to. I could now go back to every stage of development of this mod in an instant with a single git command. So you always have every file published there. You can never really delete anything unless you really try with rewriting commit histories. And it also gives you a great changelog of what has been changed. Our Git changelog is public to playtesters, so they can, if they want, they can see what has been changed. Which is also cool. You've probably seen that on some developer servers already, where you can see all of the Git stuff. If you're working on a project with multiple people, I definitely recommend you to look into source control, especially Git. Like Git is pretty much just the industry standard, I think, now, because it's open source, free, distributed, and everything.
I feel like if you're working on a project with multiple people, you already know what version control system is.
I mean, even in my class, we've had people just sharing zip files over Discord.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh god.
Or some people just didn't, they used Git, I guess, but they didn't know how to use it, so they always just cloned the entire repo and then uploaded via GitHub file upload. The changes that they made. Yeah.
Jesus.
Don't expect that much from some people.
GitHub in like, I learned how to use GitHub in friggin' 7th grade. Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Trico said, when is the next beta release be? Sorry, not sorry, but I am sorry.
It isn't a next playtest build. Yeah, I don't know what we're still waiting for. It's gonna be soon, hopefully. I've had issues. I actually uploaded a build for the Steam Deck. If you have the game, on Steam, you can enter the code deck to get the Steam Deck build, which is the latest build if you really want to have it now. That's the password. It's deck. Maybe it's even 4 decks. But I'm gonna upload the build soon. I think I'm just trying to fix the first map, which has some dev stuff in there. Oops, I fell down. load the map with sky. Oh yeah, I wanted to show this off. Can I go back to gameplay footage? Yeah, I think it was kind of a mistake to show that vacuum map in the latest gameplay demo video. Would have been better to show an overgrown map. I don't think it wasn't. Okay, mistake maybe isn't the right word. I would have loved to have shown an overgrown map. Issue is that there are bugs with cascade shadow maps through portals, which I haven't fully fixed yet, or fixed at all yet, I guess. I'm in the process of doing it. I'm just having issues with depth textures, if you know what that is. So this is that screenshot which I've been showing off. Yeah, it's an actual playable map. It isn't just a screenshot. Look at that. I'm very happy with this map. It's really looking really good. The fog is a bit bad.
I like this map. There's cool things in it.
Yeah, it's really good.
I think the fog isn't that great though. Let's fix that.
Yeah, it's a bit too.
I had some better fog in the previous version, but I kept tweaking it, and I guess I don't know if it's broken or something, because it looks like there's no fog. Like that is already that much better. If you compare those two, well, it looks much better. Yeah, this by the way is Fog UI. It's a feature in all Source Engine games.
Yeah, you have to manually install it for base portal too. Just grab the res file from Half-Life 2.
Oh yeah, you might be missing a res file, and you won't have the max density slider, which is very useful, because I added that myself.
Yeah, I haven't really used it though. It's really weird how it behaves. It's not how I think it would.
Max density?
Yeah, it's like it like reduces the fog from the back.
Yeah, because those are the densest bits. So max density is useful. I watched a video about Insight's graphics, and they said they always keep the max density at least at like 90, because then if you have bright lights in the distance which would be covered, they will still shine through the fog, as they would, you know. Yeah, I use max density in Big Vista as well. I have it a bit lower there, because max density is useful if you want to have a lot of fog close up but not that much fog very far out. Which might be good in big vistas. Like this isn't a big vista, this is pretty small. Yeah, you can also tweak with Endfire. Fog UI is I could like Fog UI. The only thing that I wanted to add it once, but the code wasn't that straightforward that I kind of didn't, couldn't justify investing that much time, is to have a button where you can copy the current fog values into here, so it's much easier to edit. But this is very useful. If your fog can change the entire map so quickly. I mean, just look at this, right? How much
Also, I'd love
this
feature
changes.
choices, like you could transfer the fog settings to the VMF's fog entity.
Yeah, that would require a Foundry system though.
I swear Gary's mod has.
I think
add-on.
no. The best way to do it is just how Hammer++ does it. You just see it in Hammer.
Yeah. That would also
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
I think it's funny that Source Engine still uses the exact same system and structure for like fog and stuff, where you have to have like a stupid panel in game that you use to tweak it, and then you copy the values and then put them into your map and stuff. Like
Yeah.
that dates all the way back to Quake, and I think even earlier. Like,
Yeah, it's very manual process in Source sometimes. So that's some reflections there. What the hell?
So, also, another weird thing I discovered was that I was just testing out this editor for Black Ops. They have the same they also originated from Quake, and they have
Ooh.
like the same like
I
infinite
guess it
player
didn't compile
start and all
with.
that.
I guess it didn't compile with clips.
Yeah, that light though, pretty good.
Yeah, that's also in a named light.
Yeah.
I've got an instance for that. Oh yeah, just gonna say this. All of the map sources and instances will be released with the game. So you can break these maps open however you want. Edit them in
Speedrunners.
fun ways. Yeah. Use the instances however you want in your own maps.
See how
Someone
the logic
said-
of some things are done.
Oh yeah.
Someone's asking if it's still a nightmare to import meshes into P2C or Revo or whatever.
You mean import
And
meshes?
like import models into Source Engine. Like
Yeah, it's the same
yes,
same workflow.
It's the exact same.
Yeah, you have to write a QC file and all. I made it a bit. I mean, there are no better tools for compiling QC files and that. I know that Monty likes to use some Blender features, some Blender add-ons. I have a VS Code extension where you can just So I have like an editor with syntax highlighting 4 QC files, and there's also a button that compiles that QC file as a model just with a click of a button right in the editor. So there are some tools that can make it easier for you, but yeah, there isn't any other systems. Fong on the cubes, yes, Monty made those.
Yeah, so it was very it's quite good, turned out. Especially with the bump, it helps.
Yeah, the bump looks really good.
I do kinda wanna edit it just a little bit. 'Cause
No.
they have a slightly better workflow for fun.
You should move on to other stuff. This is good enough.
Fair enough.
Yes, you can still
Someone's
get stuck
asking-
here, Tricker.
Someone's asking if they can become a playtester.
No, we're still on fixing. No, you can't.
That's what I thought.
Is the text still super hard to read? I guess it's too late
Yeah,
now.
In the stream, it's still black,
Yeah.
but whatever. Just look at the normal chat.
I mean, I think we should wrap up here. We've been streaming for 3 hours.
Hurry up.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that long, does it?
No.
It doesn't seem like we've got any questions at all, but it's
Believe me, it does
Yep.
seem like that.
we've been here for 3
People
hours.
watching this is probably like the like 5 other people watching this. It's probably very like, oh my god, like this is very taking ages. I don't know, unless there's a someone said, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, for
Problem
sure.
is that without code, I can't make the amount of tools I want to make. It's saddening. Saddening.
Danish method.
Oh, so people are saying they enjoy it, so that's cool.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Glad.
I think we're giving very
Yeah.
detailed answers to everything, which is why it's taking so long.
Yep.
We
I
aren't
mean,
just
when we
answering with yes, no, I don't know.
Even some like pretty like on the pretty basic questions, like whole paragraph for an answer.
I mean, considering that there's barely any questions, then yeah, that's
Yeah, it helps. It helps.
kind of have
Have
to.
things out.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. I like talking about questions in detail, you know. Taking the time to explain something properly instead of just rushing it.
This is, yeah, I mean, just say this has been a pretty fun.
Yeah.
Someone says
Wow,
they're
that's a good-
enjoying and they can't speak English.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Well, can you hear it English?
Can you hear English? That's
Can you
the
listen
question.
to it? That's more
Oh,
important.
sorry.
Yeah.
Otherwise, at the mercy of auto translations.
Oh god. Live captions
Yeah.
provided to you by Google.
They're actually quite good. I was watching like a Ukrainian video and it's like
Oh, really?
the translation was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
this-
even if
this
it's
stream
not
doesn't support
exactly
live
right,
captions.
You get a general gist.
yeah, you can get the idea.
It's alright.
And actually, transparent and open development team is so nice to see. Yeah, thanks.
Unlike insert other development team. No, okay.
Yeah, we aren't
Insert
trying.
whatever development team you're thinking of in your head.
We aren't bashing other mods.
Yeah, we are bashing a non-specific mod. No, okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
Just
doing
it's a different approach. I've always just been sort of very open about the mod, showing stuff, but also not oversharing. Like any voice lines or story details. This is just a chamber, and we've got so much stuff that we still haven't shown. Portal resolution. This is portal
Said,
resolution.
hi, can I be an idea guy? I know that's sarcastic.
We're now playing portal resolution.
Holy.
Yeah, exactly. Portal 4K
Oh god. I quite like that. It's quite cool.
60.
It is quite cool, isn't it?
It's like Minecraft. Holy shit.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, it's
will
like the Minecraft UI setting in Gmod.
Yeah, that's it's just low.
Just lowest image, yeah. It uses just the lowest
Yeah,
map map, I think, yeah.
how far to be away?
Very far. So yeah, there are gonna be German subtitles. I'm gonna write those.
And so we're gonna do like Russian, wasn't it, first? Because that was like the most.
Yeah, first language that I can't translate. Yeah, Russian
Yeah.
is very important. There's a big Russian portal scene, so supporting those is gonna be very valuable.
Or get some other people who speak other languages to translate the rest.
Yeah,
Other languages exist?
they do.
I never knew.
Right, the Dutch subtitles. Making voice the Dutch voice lines as well.
God.
It's oh, well, no.
I love the particle effects. That looks so funny.
Yeah, that's quite good. Not gonna lie.
I mean, even that looks cool. It does look cool, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's quite cool.
I
Now,
would
why
play
have-
through
why
Portal
have-
2 like this.
Why is there map maps for the main menu?
I don't know.
Oh,
I guess
okay.
they just compiled it with that.
Yeah, that's stupid. Oh, we should definitely have a pirate language.
Pirate language.
Yeah, have the whole voice lines.
Eudor.
Oh, that's Texas.
Whatever. I don't know pirates speak in English. I'm not English native.
Said Slovensky.
It does look like Teardown. Yeah, that's very true.
It does.
Oh, now we should make a whole physics system now. Destructible environments.
Oh, yeah.
We need that for Portal.
Yeah, so there's going to be a subtitle translation call once the script is all done. Very close to release, when we know that the English script won't change, and we can provide that. But we're only going to choose a very trusted group of people, because obviously it's going to be a release of the entire story early on.
I don't want to leak to the 4 people that pay attention to this mod. Nah.
No.
Yeah, the 4 people. Meanwhile, we have like tens of thousands of wish lists. Don't say the actual number. Don't say the number.
You mean?
Wait, we're not.
Oh, 1 million.
1 million wish lists.
1 more billion wish list.
We're gonna be
More billion.
trillionaires.
A more billion wish list, yes. Yeah, Monty, we still can't sell this. We still have no approval. Don't get ahead of yourself.
The red valve. Oh, God.
Yeah, should we just email again, like right now? Ugh.
Might please sell your IP for the people. Thank you. I'm surprised they allow that, to be honest. It's very surprising, because like Nintendo, I can't imagine that ever happening. I'm just not used to companies being so open with their IP.
Oh yeah, I'm very grateful for Valve that they let us do this stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I just wish that the standard for old id software was the same standard that companies were still held to today. Like, because back then, like, it was pretty much the expectation that games would just be open sourced 2 years after like their release, and like pretty much every game had like an editor and had like
Yeah.
tools for releasing it.
Yeah.
And
You don't see
it's
that
kind of a
anymore.
shame that
I mean, Nintendo's kind of the worst offender of that.
Yeah, well, you can't blame them, though.
They don't even talk about the internals, which I always love hearing, dev commentaries and stuff.
It is more of just like the lawyers, though. It's nothing to do with the developers because they have no control.
I mean,
it's very.
here's
It's the sort of culture in in Japan where like it's very separated, and you don't.
kinda hate
the
that
ups,
argument.
higher ups don't talk to the lower. It's just very.
I kind of hate that argument because the lawyers, like in the hierarchy of any like company, it's not like the lawyers are at the very top and then Shigeru Miyamoto is at like the bottom or whatever.
Well,
Like,
it's not that
And
way.
the
if it
developers
were, that
actually
would be even
wanted
worse.
Yeah, if the developers wanted this stuff to like just wanted to allow modding and to just be more open, they would be able to do it.
I don't know. Lawyers are very powerful. It's also just the executives of the company.
The low resolution mode doesn't give you much better FPS now because the bulk of the frame drops comes from rendering vertices and that stuff. I don't think that the actual texture matters too much. I guess it would reduce your VRAM, but in Portal 2 that's very ever the limit. In Source Engine, your performance limit is really, for Spotlight, is really just CPU, and triangles as always. Just draw calls. Alright, I think we're gonna wrap this up. Thanks everyone for coming. Thanks everyone for asking questions. I hope we've been helpful. Been so very, very thankful for the Random Generation for all those new eyes on the mod. It's very cool to see. Definitely seen a bump in wishlist and YouTube views and everything.
Yeah, we are also, the video about us on Lambda Generation is 5K away from being their most viewed video.
Only 5K now because it's like it's surpassing everything on the channel right now, which is so weird.
It'll be the first video.
Even beating out
Okay.
like Half-Life Echoes and Project 17
Hell yeah.
and
Yeah.
Black Mesa and
like
Half-Life 2 for
actual
Xbox.
Half-Life content, and this is a Portal mod on the Half-Life channel.
I don't know, why is
We
it
beat
popular?
out
It's
the-
such a anomaly.
We beat out the Half-Life 2 furry mods.
We did it.
Yeah.
Better than the
Oh wow, we're actually at 82K now.
Holy.
Yeah. The only one left is Swarm Dynamics Source Engine Test by Gray Horsefield.
Yeah, you can see it on the stream. Yeah, I mean that has been there for 10 years. So if after 2 weeks, this is crazy.
Probably has something to do with the fact that Portal mods are few and far between, whereas Half-Life mods are like, well, there's a million.
True. The thing with Half-Life
mean,
mods
actually,
is
like-
the Half-Life mods often, like a lot of the ones that I see, that don't seem to be, they're very different to Portal mods, right? Like Portal mods are always pretty much like what Mel is. They always try to be like campaigns. Half-Life mods are often just, oh yeah, we upgraded the graphics of every map, or yeah, it's different weapons and that stuff. We don't see that stuff in Portal 2 too much.
Or we replaced Alex with a furry.
Yeah.
It's also like the hardest to make mods for Portal 2 because like it's not as open. You have to have like access. To
Yeah,
it.
you can't code it, that's also true.
Yeah.
If you only got Wii script.
We beat out Half-Life Echoes. That's actually really crazy because Half-Life Echoes is like one of the most popular like Half-Life mods. And we beat out the...
Half-Life Echoes.
Wait, what? You haven't played... Oh, it's really good. Play
What
it.
is it? It's like a whole different campaign for.
Yeah, it's a new campaign where you play as like this scientist and stuff, and it's like got a whole like horror kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Is it dead now?
No, it released.
Oh,
it
it released, okay.
a couple of years ago. Yeah, it's really
Oh,
good.
what was the dead one? So someone said someone was dead. Or cancelled. Oh.
Let's see. Project 17 still being worked on. That's cool, but that's
We
just
beat
such a
Portal with
massive-
RTX, huh?
Yes, let's go.
We did it, gamer. We
We're-
beat Prospect.
We're officially prettier than Portal with RTX.
I don't think that's what that means.
But no. Maybe not. Yeah.
And Boreal Aleph being cancelled. That was such a big shame, but I don't
Wait,
buy
wait,
the
I-
official.
It isn't
Like
surprising.
cancelled? Project Borealis? No.
No, Boreal Aleph.
Oh, Boreal.
no, Project-
What's that?
Oh, it
That was
the-
that was on the source engine.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it was the
okay.
one that everybody actually thought was gonna release, and then like they released a
yeah.
gameplay video,
That's
and
the
then
paradox.
a month later, it just got canceled, and then they said like, sorry, it just became too much work.
It's always
Which
such a
was kind of
shame.
which was just kind of bizarre. Like they were literally showing off like updates the day before, and it's honestly like kind of confusing. Like, okay, what? Like, there's got to be some kind of behind the scenes thing, because that was like a team of like 80 people.
Man.
Like, that just doesn't just get canceled, like, out of the blue for, oh, sorry, too much work. I don't know.
I mean, maybe, it's that classic fluff of just, yeah, we've got 80 people here, but in actuality, behind the scenes, I mean, it's just circulation. Behind the scenes, you've got not that many people actually working, that they just say you're on the team, but I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. I've never really been in touch with that project or kept up with it.
I always kept up with, like, that was the mod that I was the most excited for, and I would follow, like, every single Twitter thing. I was active in the Discord and stuff, like,
Yeah,
and then it just
it's always kind of perplexing when like the marketing side of the team or the project, you only see that, but then the actual people behind it, or how the development actually goes, is very different. And then at those points when the project just gets cancelled out of the blue, at least to me, that kind of looks like, yeah, you've kind of built this facade, but in reality the mod was probably a mess inside.
yeah, I don't know.
Everybody, don't worry, this mod is not gonna get cancelled.
Oh, don't jinx it. Don't jinx it.
I'm not jinxing it. It's okay. It is only gonna get cancelled by outside sources, but not by me.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay.
It's only gonna get
Or
cancelled
with-
if Valve shuts us down.
Or if Austria gets nuked.
Or that, yeah.
Or that, yeah.
I guess
World War III breaks out.
No.
If World War III
Don't
breaks
jinx
out,
it.
we're still working on that. Nah.
In the rubble and radioactive waste.
Yeah, that's the actual port revolution.
And then maybe, like, after humanity has, like, been destroyed, then Project Borealis will finally release.
Oh yes, so we're gonna remake Boreal Aleph ourselves. This is the actual port revolution, guys. We've just made a cover-up mod.
Yeah.
No, actually, the real Portal Revolution is that it's secretly just like a RTX remake of Portal 2.
Yeah, a port of RTX is port revolution, isn't it?
Obviously.
That is your RTX support that you added yesterday.
Yes. Yesterday, yeah.
It time traveled back. Yeah, I think we should end this.
Okay.
Thanks everyone for coming.
See ya.
If anyone has a question, you can always ask us.
Then
We're
shut
very
up.
open. Just ask it. We even have a channel on the Discord server called Mod Questions. And we've got a dedicated channel that you just ask something, we respond pretty much immediately. So yeah, hope you're all doing well. See you. Bye.
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 Bye. Bye. Bye.
I pressed
Bye.
end.